Have you ever wondered what it would be like to reach your 100th birthday still enjoying life with a clear mind and relatively good health? What if the secrets to exceptional longevity weren't found in expensive supplements or cutting-edge medical treatments, but in simple daily habits that anyone can adopt? Today, I'm sharing wisdom that could literally add years to your life. Hello, everyone. I'm James, and welcome to another episode of Golden Age Secrets. Today's video is truly special because I'll be sharing the extraordinary story and insights of Mr. Harold Chen, who recently celebrated his 102nd birthday. I had the privilege of spending several days with Harold at his home, discussing his remarkable journey and the principles he believes have contributed to his exceptional longevity. What makes Harold's story particularly valuable is that he didn't begin focusing on longevity until after his 60th birthday. Prior to that, by his own admission, he lived a relatively ordinary life with many of the same habits and stresses that most of us experience. This means his insights are especially relevant for anyone currently in or approaching their golden years. After extensive conversations and observing Harold's daily routines, 5 distinct patterns emerged, habits and perspectives that he has maintained for over 4 decades, and credits for his unusually long, healthy life. By the end of this video, you'll understand Harold's complete approach to longevity, including the one practice he considers most essential that might surprise you. Before we dive in, it's worth noting that Harold is not an outlier in his family. His father lived to 89, and his mother to 94. Good genes, certainly, but not extraordinary enough to explain reaching 102 with his level of physical and mental vitality. While genetics undoubtedly play a role in longevity, research increasingly shows that lifestyle factors can activate or suppress genetic predispositions, potentially adding decades of healthy life regardless of family history. Let's explore the 5 longevity secrets that Harold has consistently practiced since turning 60, and which medical research increasingly supports as keys to extending not just lifespan, but what scientists call health span, the period of life spent in good health. Secret number 1, the 60-40 movement principle. When I asked Harold about exercise, I expected to hear about a rigorous workout routine. Instead, he smiled and shared what he calls his 60-40 principle, a philosophy that has guided his physical activity for over 4 decades. Movement isn't just about formal exercise, Harold explained. It's about avoiding stillness throughout your entire day. Harold structures his approach to physical activity as 60% everyday movement and 40% intentional exercise. This ratio has remained consistent since his 60s, though the specific activities have evolved as he's aged. The 60% consists of what scientists now call non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT, the energy expended during ordinary daily activities. Harold intentionally maximizes these movements by never sitting for more than 30 minutes without standing or walking briefly, taking the longer route to any destination, doing household tasks manually rather than using labor-saving devices, standing while on the phone, gardening daily, even if just for 15 minutes. The remaining 40% is dedicated to structured exercise, but not in the way many might expect. Harold alternates between three types of activity: cardiovascular, primarily walking; strength work, body weight exercises and light resistance training; and flexibility balance practices, a simple yoga routine he's adapted over the years. Notably, none of these activities are extreme or intense. Consistency trumps intensity every time after 60, Harold insists. I've outlived many friends who started aggressive exercise programs in retirement, only to injure themselves or burn out within months. Medical research strongly supports Harold's approach. A 2023 study, published in the Journal of Gerontology, found that regular, moderate movement distributed throughout the day had a stronger correlation with longevity than shorter periods of intense exercise followed by prolonged sitting. Harold's walking routine deserves special mention. He walks outdoors for approximately 30 minutes every morning, regardless of weather. Walking connects you with the world, he says. It's as much mental health as physical exercise. Secret number 2, the 5-ingredient nutrition filter. When I observed Harold's eating habits, I noticed an absence of complicated diets or strict regimens. Instead, he applies what he calls his 5-ingredient filter to most of his food choices. If it has more than 5 ingredients on the label, I generally don't eat it, Harold explained. And if it doesn't have a label because it's a whole food, even better. This simple rule has several profound effects. It naturally eliminates most ultra-processed foods, which research increasingly links to accelerated aging and increased disease risk. It focuses his diet on whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. Harold's meals typically include abundant vegetables of various colors, moderate portions of protein, primarily from plant sources and fish, limited but not eliminated carbohydrates, focusing on those with fiber, liberal use of herbs and spices, particularly turmeric and ginger, minimal added sugars. Perhaps most interesting is what Harold does not do. He doesn't count calories, measure portions, or completely eliminate any food category. He enjoys occasional treats without guilt, including his beloved weekly slice of homemade apple pie. Pleasure is as important as nutrition, he insists. Stress from obsessing over food rules can negate the benefits of even the healthiest diet. Harold also practices a natural form of time-restricted eating, typically consuming all his food within an 8 to 10 hour window. His last meal is usually completed by 6:30 p.m., allowing for 13 to 15 hours without food before breakfast the next morning. This pattern, now supported by emerging research on intermittent fasting, may contribute to cellular repair processes associated with longevity. One particular habit stands out. Harold begins each day with a mug of warm water with lemon and a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, followed by a breakfast that always includes some protein and healthy fat. How you break your fast sets your metabolic tone for the day, he explains, a principle increasingly supported by chronobiology research. Secret number 3, strategic stress recovery. When I asked Harold about stress management, his answer surprised me. "I don't try to eliminate stress," he said with a chuckle. "I focus on recovering from it strategically." Harold explained that throughout his career as a civil engineer, he experienced significant stress, tight deadlines, difficult clients, and complex problems to solve. Rather than attempting to avoid these stressors, he developed specific recovery practices that he has maintained and refined since retirement. The cornerstone of Harold's approach is what he calls deliberate recovery windows, short periods throughout the day dedicated to specific activities that activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response. 3 daily breathing sessions of just 2 to 3 minutes each, using a simple technique of inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6 counts. A 15 to 20-minute afternoon rest period. Not always sleeping, sometimes just lying with eyes closed. Spending time in natural settings, particularly among trees, at least 4 times weekly. Weekly massage sessions, now provided by a professional caregiver, but previously exchanged with his late wife. Immersion in absorbing hobbies that create a flow state, where time seems to disappear. What's notable about Harold's strategy is its regularity and preventative nature. He doesn't wait until stress becomes overwhelming to implement these practices. They are integrated into his daily and weekly rhythms, regardless of how he feels. Most people think stress management is something you do after you're already stressed, Harold noted. But that's like deciding to put on a seatbelt after you've had an accident. The secret is creating recovery habits that prevent stress accumulation in the first place. Modern research on stress physiology supports Harold's intuitive approach. Studies show that regular activation of the parasympathetic nervous system helps maintain balanced cortisol patterns, which are strongly associated with longevity and reduced age-related disease. Secret number 4, purposeful engagement. As we continued our conversations, Harold repeatedly emphasized the importance of having compelling reasons to wake up each morning. Without purpose, longevity is just a prolonged ending, he said thoughtfully. With purpose, even ordinary days become meaningful. After retiring from his engineering career, Harold consciously developed what he calls 3 pillars of purpose that have sustained him through his later decades, learning projects that stretch his mind, from taking university courses in his 70s and 80s to learning digital photography at 90. Creative expression, primarily through writing and watercolor painting. Service to others, including mentoring young engineers and participating in community projects. What struck me was the intentionality behind Harold's approach. He doesn't just participate in activities, he deliberately structures his life around pursuits that combine mental challenge, creativity, and contribution to others. The greatest threat to longevity after 60 isn't any particular disease, Harold observed. It's the gradual surrender to passivity, letting each day become a waiting room for nothing in particular. To combat this tendency, Harold maintains a simple system for purposeful engagement. Each season, he identifies one significant learning project to pursue. Each month, he commits to creating something tangible: a painting, an essay, a garden feature. Each week, he engages in at least one activity that directly benefits others. Research strongly supports the connection between purpose and longevity. A study from the Rush University Medical Center found that people with high purpose in life were about 2.4 times more likely to remain free of Alzheimer's disease than those with low purpose. Similar research has found connections between purpose and cardiovascular health, immune function, and overall mortality risk. Perhaps most compelling is how Harold's purposeful activities create natural social connections, another factor consistently linked to longevity. His learning projects, creative pursuits, and service activities regularly bring him into contact with people of diverse ages and backgrounds, creating a social network that provides both stimulation and support. Secret number 5, the curiosity-gratitude cycle. And now we come to the principle that Harold considers most fundamental to his longevity, what he calls the curiosity-gratitude cycle. This mental framework, which he has consciously cultivated since his mid-60s, shapes how he experiences and responds to daily life. Curiosity and gratitude are the twin engines of vitality. Harold explained, curiosity pulls you forward into new experiences, while gratitude anchors you in appreciation for what you've already lived. Harold's approach involves a daily practice of alternating between these two mental states. Curiosity, asking at least one question daily about something he doesn't understand. Reading outside his familiar subjects, conversing with people from different generations and backgrounds, exploring new locations, even if just a different neighborhood, challenging his assumptions about how things work. Gratitude, beginning each day by identifying 3 specific things he appreciates. Keeping a surprise gratitude journal where he records unexpected positive experiences. Expressing verbal appreciation to others. Regular reflection on challenges that ultimately led to growth. Consciously engaging with beauty in his environment. Most people lose their sense of wonder as they age, Harold noted. They stop noticing, stop questioning, stop being surprised. But physiologically, wonder is regenerative. It triggers positive cascades in the nervous system and brain chemistry. Emerging research in psychoneuroimmunology supports Harold's intuitive understanding. Studies demonstrate that both curiosity and gratitude trigger measurable changes in inflammatory markers, stress hormones, and even gene expression patterns associated with longevity. What makes this principle particularly accessible is that it requires no special equipment, expense, or physical capability. Even when mobility becomes limited in advanced age, the curiosity-gratitude cycle remains fully available as a longevity practice. Harold credits this mental framework with helping him navigate the inevitable losses of advanced age, including the death of his wife 5 years ago. Curiosity gives you new doors to open when others close, he said, and gratitude helps you honor what was without becoming trapped in grief for what is no longer. Implementing these secrets in your own life. As our time together drew to a close, I asked Harold what advice he would give to someone currently in their 60s or 70s who wants to increase their chances of healthy longevity. His answer was both practical and profound. Start where you are, not where you think you should be, he said. Longevity isn't built on heroic transformations. It's built on small, sustainable changes that you maintain for decades. Based on Harold's insights and my own research into longevity science, here are some practical starting points for each secret. For the 60-40 movement principle, begin by simply standing up once every hour. Add a 5 to 10-minute daily walk, gradually increasing as it becomes comfortable. Identify household activities that could involve more physical movement. Consider working with a physical therapist to develop safe strength exercises appropriate for your current condition. For the 5-ingredient nutrition filter, start by examining the ingredient lists on foods you regularly consume. Each week, replace one processed food item with a whole food alternative. Experiment with moving your last meal of the day earlier. Add one herb or spice with anti-inflammatory properties to your regular cooking. For strategic stress recovery, practice the 4-count inhale, 6-count exhale breathing technique for just 2 minutes daily. Identify one place in nature you can visit regularly. Schedule a brief afternoon rest period, even if just 10 minutes. Find one absorbing activity that reliably helps you lose track of time. For purposeful engagement, ask yourself what you're genuinely curious to learn more about. Identify one way your life experience could benefit others. Schedule regular time for one creative activity, regardless of skill level. Consider volunteering once a month in an area aligned with your interests. For the curiosity-gratitude cycle, begin each day by writing down one thing you're genuinely grateful for. Set a daily reminder to ask one question about something unfamiliar. Take a different route to regular destinations to notice new details. Each evening, identify one surprising or beautiful thing you experienced. Remember that longevity practices don't need to be implemented all at once. As Harold wisely noted, you don't need to change everything to benefit. Even one of these practices, maintained consistently, can shift your aging trajectory. What I found most inspiring about Harold's approach is its accessibility. These aren't practices that require wealth, special equipment, or extraordinary willpower. They're simple habits that align with how our bodies and minds naturally function best, accumulated over decades to create remarkable results. As Harold walked me to the door at the conclusion of our interviews, moving with the deliberate but steady gait of his 102 years, he shared one final thought. Don't focus on living longer, he said with a gentle smile. Focus on living better. The years will take care of themselves. If you found value in these insights from Harold's remarkable journey, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to our Golden Age Secrets channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you wisdom that can transform your experience of aging. Until next time, this is James, wishing you vibrant health and purposeful days in your golden years.